That's Drew.
And that's Mike.
And that's the Car Mom.
Hey guys, my name's Kelly and I'm the Car Mom.
Yeah.
Welcome.
For our listeners, like she said, we're here with the Car Mom, and she is your source for finding out which cars could fit your car seats and your groceries, how many ceiling vents a model has, or how to get rid of fingerprints from the touchscreen infotainment system. Having built an Instagram community of over 75,000 followers, Kelly is now starting up her YouTube channel, The Car Mom, which at only 2 months old has already gained 6,000 subscribers and over 180,000 views. Follow the links to check out her channel for a lot more information about the car buying process from a parent perspective, and check out her website to grab a car shopping workbook before you head to the dealership. Kelly, thanks again for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. So cool to be talking about my YouTube channel a little bit more.
Yeah, we love YouTube, and it's a different perspective, especially in I think a super saturated market of like car reviews.
Mm-hmm.
And you definitely give it an interesting perspective. And I don't necessarily even think it's just for moms, because as a dad, I get a lot out of watching your reviews from just a parent perspective, like Drew said.
Thank you.
So we'll start before you started a YouTube channel, even before you were even in the car industry. You grew up in Missouri. What was some of the favorite pastimes of growing up in Missouri?
So I grew up in St. Louis, born and raised here. I really like Missouri. It has a very, granted I haven't lived anywhere else, but it's got a very Midwest homey vibe. We also have a family farm out in a place called Sullivan, Missouri, which is a very rural town, where I actually met my husband. So I grew up riding horses, spending some time at my farm, going to the Lake of the Ozarks, which is like a big lake we have here in Missouri. And I'm the oldest of 5 kids. So I always had a rowdy house. My parents had 5 kids in 8 years, so all very close in age, and we're still very close to this day.
5 kids in 8 years. So you're basically on track. You're 2 under 2, right?
I am on track. Actually, me and my sister are the exact age difference of George and Hattie, my 2 kids. But I will not be getting to 5. I think I'm good for 1 more for sure, maybe 2 more. We'll see. Not 5.
That was actually a question from one of the followers on Instagram.
Oh, okay.
And I'm glad that we got that right away, because when you're talking about, this is jumping ahead a little bit, but when you're talking about car reviews, there's a significant difference from a perspective of a parent from 2 kids to 3 kids, right?
And see, I think 3 to 4 is even bigger.
Really?
Like 3 kids, it's like because 3 kids, technically you could still fit in a 5-passenger car. 4 kids, different threshold. And while it would be very on brand for me to have 8 kids and like see what works for 8 kids, I'm not willing to, I can't do that. Love my children though, but they are so much work.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't know if the Sprinter van fits the cars that you've reviewed from a family perspective so far.
I would love to do that one day. That would be so fun.
Yeah. I have a friend who's got 3 with 1 on the way, and they have a Sprinter van, and it makes sense. It makes sense though. Like,
good for them. Yep.
Any of them bring a friend, you got to have a car that can hold it. So getting into horses, what was the draw? Was it just because your family has a farm, or what was the reasoning behind your love for animals and horses there?
No, I actually got into horses before my parents had bought the farm. I think it's so weird to talk about my horse obsession, because you know how like everyone in high school had that weird horse girl like in their class. Like that was me. Like I went to the Scholastic Book Fair. I was like in the 3rd grade, bought a book about horses, and just begged my parents to let me start riding. And I started riding at 9, and I did it my whole life. Did it in college, and and now I haven't gone on a horse in 2 years.
Wow.
But I've been pregnant a lot, so that's not my excuse.
It takes up some of my time.
Yeah.
And I don't think being pregnant and riding horses is recommended by most doctors.
Definitely not. Especially not my horses who get ridden like once a month. It's like they're not the ones to ride.
So did you, when you were riding, was this like riding for fun, or was this competitive riding? What was the nature of that?
I did it for fun for a while, but then once I got to high school, I started doing it competitively, and then competed all through college too.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah,
Because competitive horse riding is like a serious industry, right?
it's
It's
a
like,
serious industry that's very expensive.
yeah,
It
well,
was
not even
very
just the horses. You got to have trailers and
just
driving.
all the equipment so expensive. Um, so yeah,
It's a cool sport though, right? Like
yeah, it is.
it seems like a little bit of, I don't know, there's like a little bit of pageantry to it and a lot of history within it.
Definitely, yeah, definitely.
And so in high school, you were doing this as opposed to playing sports in high school?
Yeah, I'm like 6 feet tall, 5'11", and I'm so bad at sports. Like to the point, like got cut from basketball, got cut from volleyball. It's so embarrassing because everyone's like, "You're so tall. Like, are you so good at basketball?" I'm like, "Oh no, I ride horses." Was just so yeah, I was not athletic, but I am kind of athletic. Okay, I'm not athletic. Um, so yeah,
Well,
that was in replace of, I guess, sports. I
I
did that,
mean,
and I was on student council. I was really cool in high school.
which makes sense because when you look at your college time, and we'll talk about that after this, but you seem to be very much involved in the school itself as well there. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, you got to find your place, right? Not everyone's made to play basketball. I was definitely not. I was told not to play t-ball as a
Oh
six
gosh.
year old. So there's you got to find your place there. So you graduate high school, trying to keep up with where I'm going, and you find yourself at William Woods University, and there you studied famously equestrian sciences.
It's true.
How did you find yourself at that specific school, and where did that major come from? Like, what was the was the major what drove you to the school, or was the school then the major?
The major drove me to the school, so it was actually only an hour and a half from my house, and I um had applied to some other, like I wanted to major in horses, equestrian science. So there was a couple of schools. I looked at some in Kentucky, uh, but I had like a boyfriend at the time. I didn't want to go too far. Luckily, that boyfriend turned out to be my husband, so like that kind of worked out. So yeah, I was only an hour and a half from my home, my boyfriend. So that's why I chose that school, and they have one of the best equestrian programs in the country.
It's kind of crazy that 9-year-old Kelly gets a book at the Scholastics book fair and then goes to college and majors in the same thing she fell in love with at 9. That's a
Yeah,
pretty amazing path. So can you explain what equestrian sciences is in a way?
yeah. It was basically how to become a horse trainer. So everything from like the basic care of a horse to teaching other people how to ride horses.
Oh, interesting. So when it is William Woods University, are you doing like a liberal arts major? Is it,
No,
or is it
it's
you're
the
just
major.
that is so you're taking like mainly all classes on like training and
Yeah. So we had like a barn, and there's 4 different seats in the equestrian world. So I rode Western. So I was in the Western department, and you had a riding class, and then we had like a lot of like pre vet classes, I guess.
okay. And when you mean seats, um, you're talking about saddle styles or
Different types of riding. So like, you've probably seen it, like some people like jump over things.
uh-huh.
Some people like I sit in like the cowboy saddle,
Okay.
but I do like a show version of that. So I don't like do anything. Like our horses couldn't, like the horses I rode like couldn't go over a rock, but
Oh,
we have like that cowboy style seat. We wear cowboy hats, and we basically go as slow as possible. Um, it looks very boring to the naked eye if you don't know what it is.
could
The
you
horses the horses actually look like they're limping, but they're not. They just like have so much muscle tone, and we call it collected. They're so collected that they can like move their body in such a way that they can basically move in slow motion. Takes a lot. It's very difficult to do.
wow. And so it's like the horse is basically moonwalking or like doing a dance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty impressive. I could not imagine teaching my dog or any animal to do that. That's got to be a pretty That, I guess that makes sense why there's an entire major dedicated to
Yeah.
teaching these items. So not only did you find yourself studying equestrian sciences in college, but you were also very, very, very involved in your college itself. You were in a sorority. You were on, I think, the student council. I don't want to get ahead of myself.
It was on not it, kind of.
You were a member of the President's 20. So I'm going to guess that's like the president's, like a very well high GPA.
No, it's just like the president chooses 12 or 20 students to just hang out with, basically.
That's a pretty, but that's got to be.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, yeah, it was definitely hard to get into. It was an intense interview process, but
And you were on the campus activities board?
it was.
Okay, so this makes much more sense. I was going to ask you what the Western Club was, but I'm going to, I think I know.
Yeehaw.
Yeah. Project 123 and a university ambassador. And I believe the university ambassador was giving tours of the barns.
Yes,
So,
on the campus.
Yeah. So were you giving it to prospective students to,
Mhm.
Oh, interesting. And that would be like a campus tour rather than, at like a normal collegiate.
Right.
Yeah. So during college, you also had a pretty interesting work life. You worked at Ulta.
You did.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, makeup store.
Why did you choose to do that during your college time, your college career?
I thought it would be like a cool way to get a discount on makeup. But it's only 20%, which like isn't that good.
No, that's
Like,
not.
it's still like so I did that for a summer. It was a good job though. It was fun to like not fun, but just to work for like so there's something about like working for like a huge corporation that just like had like such strict rules that like it wasn't like a mom and pop kind of like my other internships were a lot more lax. This one was like, you got to show up. Here's the time you're there. You don't know your coworkers very well.
Mhm.
And it was just like you were just a number. It was a really humbling experience.
One thing I was thinking is, was there anything that you could take from working in a retail environment that would end up helping you on the showroom floor of working at a car dealership? Was there skills that
Yeah,
you learned there? Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, I feel like
Definitely
retail
just
can give you a lot of experience that way.
yeah, like just and I mean cars is retail.
Yep.
So it's just the same process of, can I help you find anything? Oh no, we're just looking. It's like, okay. Well, all right. What are you looking for?
Yeah, and I'm sure beauty products and cars have a lot more in common than you would expect too, right?
Yeah.
There's a little bit of vanity in both of them, but also like you're making purchases to make yourself feel better and better your life, and
Definitely. And they both cost more than you want them to.
Yes, yeah. Except for I don't think you can buy. I wouldn't suggest buying used makeup.
No. Yeah, you're right. Right.
And so you also worked in the radio industry significantly. How did you find yourself at either 93.7 The Bull, or working with social media for the Zimmer Radio and Marketing Group?
So while I did major in horses, I also got a communications major because like I wasn't totally gonna throw my life out a window. So I did double major in communications. And I really liked radio internships because I really liked the promotion side of it, because I was obviously for my college activities, you can tell like I was always like, I just loved like being out there, meeting the people, doing the events, doing the activities. So I liked about radio is there was a lot of fun promotion events to go to, like, which some people would like roll their eyes out. Like I just like loved like passing t-shirts out at like a 5K. Like that was just, I had so much fun doing it. And I thought radio internships were a good way to get I got a little bit of sales, because I would shadow the sales department or help the sales department out. And then I got to do promotions and I got to do marketing. I got to do social media. So I think radio internships are just really good internships for any aspiring comm major. And so then, once you got one, it's like, okay, well, I'll just do another. And the next thing you know, I could get any radio internship I wanted.
Oh, you did 3 of them.
Yeah.
And so That makes total sense. I've never actually thought about that whole industry of it's kind of everything in one. You are
Mhm.
doing everything. So what about what about handing out t-shirts at a 5K gets you super amped?
I just think I love to get people excited about things. I mean, I just like to bring a certain level of energy, and I just like to hype people up. I don't know why.
I,
It's kind of strange.
but it makes sense because you can see that level of hype in every one of your videos when you're talking about cars. So
Yeah.
it's good to show and talk about that this is not a fake. You're not putting on like, you know, this character more or less. That is just you. It's just who you are, and it's always been, and it makes sense as we follow this path. So you you then you then graduate William Woods University, and after that you join BMW of West St. Louis. But there's a big history of that dealership and the dealership network that is connected to it. And you are the third generation of your family to join that network. Started in 1957 by your grandfather. It's quite a legacy, 9 brands, 11 locations. Famously on the group's website, uh, all family members have worked from everything around 12 years old, from painting walls to sales to maintenance to filling the shelves uh, the parts department. So I wanted to know where you started within your path of joining that group.
So I actually started on the showroom floor. So my dad, I graduated, didn't know what I was going to do with my life. My dad really wanted me to try sales, thought I'd be good at it. I was very, very scared to do it because I had seen my then boyfriend, now husband, try to. He's quite a few years older than me, about 4 years older than me. So when he graduated, and we've been together for almost 10 years. So when he graduated, he went to go work for my dad, and he tried to sell cars and was horrible at it. I mean, like only made it 3 months, didn't make any money, and absolutely hated it. And he's an outgoing guy. Like he's not shy. So I was like, Tyler couldn't do it. I was like, why do you think like I don't think I'm like cut out for this? The hours are horrible. And he's like, well, just try it. Like just give it, give it 6 months, see what happens. I had also never bought a car before. My parents had never bought a car before. I knew nothing about the car buying process. And everyone was like, it'll be easy, Kelly. You grew up in the business. I'm like, no, I grew up getting a new car every 5,000 miles and like having my dad own the place. I didn't even know you had to pay sales tax on a car. I was absolutely oblivious. And he puts me at a BMW store. These cars are 60, 70, $80,000. I'm 22 and I'm trying to sell to like a 65-year-old man. Like, we have literally nothing in common. And I'm like, so anyway, but I worked really hard at it. I learned my product. And my third month selling cars, I became salesman of the month, which
Wow.
means I had outsold people who had been selling for 20 plus years.
Wow.
I truly just hustled my butt off. Um, and I really fell in love with the car buying process way more than the cars. I mean, the cars are cool, but I don't even care what car I'm selling. I just loved selling cars.
Yeah, that's arguably the hardest place to work in the entire dealership, I would say. It's like
Yeah,
you're stuck to really fend for yourself, like in the parts department you could go, oh, I gotta go check, and you get away
yeah,
from someone. And finance, they always have the little wall between you and
right.
the actual interaction. So you really fended for yourself, and to become sales, we'll say saleswoman of the month.
Yes, they had to get a new sign because we used to say sales because we had our pictures up in the
Yeah,
wall.
yeah.
It said salesman of the month. We had to go and said salesperson of the month because
um
it was a big moment, big
that
step for women.
Yeah. Yeah.
that's got to be pretty cool for your dad too, because a
Yeah,
lot
he
of
was
a
excited.
lot of people, when they kind of come into a family business like that, they might be able to skate on their own and not necessarily do that. But you really came in and showed yourself that you belong there, and worked just as hard or harder than anyone else. It's got to be awesome.
It was a good feeling. It still feels good. Yeah, I definitely proved myself.
I And so now you find yourself with this legacy, and you're working your way up the ladder within your organization. It seems like you've kind of just bounced around within and learned a lot about everything. And that kind of moves us to the next chapter, and I think that chapter started more or less June of 2020. So this is like a quarantine project for you.
Yeah.
And so you learn your products and you learn your passion for cars. But what is it about like the car buying process or cars that really interests you? Because there's a widespread view of cars, right? There's anything from we're talking Hyundai to Ferrari, different people for different modes of transportation. What was the reasoning behind like choosing this medium, Instagram at first, and the car for moms? Not just because you are a mom, but like,
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a lot of questions.
yeah, sorry, that was a ramble. Let's just
It
start
was
with,
no.
yeah.
So I think so. Yeah, during quarantine, I was I was like kind of working the business, but I wasn't like very customer facing. I was doing some behind the scenes stuff, and I was really missing the part that I liked about the car process and that I liked about working, which was working with people, because I was pregnant with my daughter at the time, wasn't loving my job. Coronavirus was happening. I'm like, do I even go back to work? Like, what am I doing? I don't love my job. We're about to have our baby. Childcare is so expensive. Um, and my husband looked at me. He's like, well, Kelly, just focus on mom. Just like try to maybe sell some cars, like, because maybe like sell by appointment and just try to sell to some other moms in the area. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a good idea. Like some St. Louis moms. But then as I was like marinating on that idea, I was like, or I could like try to like sell, I did air quotes if you're just podcasting, sell to every mom in the country and just show people cars, because that's definitely the best part about the car buying process, in my opinion, is I love hearing your needs, showing you a car, and then just like getting excited about a brand new vehicle purchase. I think the technology in the cars is unreal. The safety features are amazing. And the comfort features are really awesome too. And as moms, and just mainly as moms, we spend so much more time in our car than anybody else. I mean, for the most part, like we're the ones taking the kids to school, we're the ones waiting in the pickup line, we're the ones driving to the grocery store. And then even if you do take the car as a family, like you take the mom's vehicle because that's the one that has the car seats in it. So you spend all this time in your car. All the car reviewers out there want to talk about like performance and like other stuff. And that doesn't show you what the functionality of the vehicle looks like. And then, I had a ton of friends who were becoming moms and they were all upgrading from the car they had in college and trying to find the perfect mom car. And I saw a lot of mistakes made along the way of, I thought this car would be perfect. It doesn't even fit two car seats comfortably. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to, and I started on Instagram. I tried to start on YouTube first actually. And I never posted on YouTube, but I tried to film for YouTube. And I just had some struggles with it because I didn't really have like a good rhythm. And starting on Instagram was very much like, okay, it's either one day or day one. So I was like, let's just start. Like, I'll get to YouTube if I want to get to YouTube, but I know how to use Instagram. Like, I can film it from my phone. So we'll see if this picks up any traction. So that's why I started on Instagram. And I like starting on Instagram because I was able to do things a little bit more casually, which is kind of what I wanted to do. Like there's so many there really are some great car reviewers that are very well rehearsed. They write their entire script. They probably work actually a lot harder than I do on the prep for their tours. But I just kind of wanted mine to be a little bit more casual. And I wanted to be like, hey, it's me, Kelly. Like, I don't know, girl, the trunk's a little small. Like just very casual. Like I was just like your girlfriend showing you a car. So that's kind of why I think Instagram felt a little bit more natural at first. But I've been, as I try to set up to make the car a full-time job, which it's not at the moment, I quickly realized that I had to get monetized and Instagram was not going to do that. So then I was putting hours and hours of work into, I'd like film an Instagram tour on this app called Spark. So I could then slice it into 15 seconds. Then I could upload to my Instagram stories and then save them to highlights. And I like had way too many highlights because I was doing all this work, I wasn't getting anything for it. So that's why I made the decision to switch to YouTube.
I think you got a lot of the best practices, which I think either way, right? You can either put a bunch of videos that don't do well on YouTube, and you know, then maybe later on a lot of people would end up hiding those videos, but you're putting them in a different medium and learning both sides. Like, because I think we struggle with like the clips side, right? You know, a lot of podcasts put out clip videos, but you kind of started with the clips of
Yeah.
highlighting different cars. And so what is it like growing this kind of business? Because you start on Instagram. How did you find the process of growing from 100 to 500 to 30,000 to now 75,000 plus followers?
And sometimes it's very overwhelming. And I have very intense imposter syndrome, which I'm like, in all seriousness, trying to work on, because I just don't. It's not that I don't get the hype, because I totally believe in there's a need for what I'm doing. I just like can't believe that I'm the person who's doing it. That's just like, I'm just a mom. I'm just a mom. I'm just a car salesman. Like, I'm not even an expert. I just sell cars, and I'm a mom. Like, it's very strange to me. But I really do love my followers. I'm very grateful for them. And I feel like we have, a lot of people want to ask me about like what it's like to be in a male dominated industry and like how I deal with that. And if I have any tips. And I just always say, like, I just brought the girls with me. Like, I'm not trying to get men interested in my tours. I'm just trying to get the women more interested in my tours, which women like cars. All women like cars. Like, we just don't, we like the cup holders, and we like how we feel in the car, and we like that we have a place for our purse. And having somebody, I think, just hype them up about that has kind of made it a fun community. And I was really worried at first that people were going to unfollow me once they bought a car, because I'm like, okay, like, you buy a car, you don't need me anymore. But I've really like created this like community of women who are obsessed with cars. Like, oh, I already bought a car, but like, can't wait to see the new Telluride. Like, they actually care. And I always get messages like, now I recognize all these cars on the road. It's so fun. And then like women like are sending me like new releases, and they totally care.
That's pretty interesting. To think that the thought of that they would unfollow you after, yeah, because like it's a commodity at that point. They're like, oh
Yeah.
well, I'm only watching this video because I want to buy the Kia Telluride. Oh, but then they actually fall in love with who you are and like the style, and then they follow. I did the same thing. I watched one video to prep for this, and then I ended up finding myself watching like 5 of them because it's entertaining, and I want to see how many diapers and how many changes of clothes can fit inside the center console. And there's like little things that you bring in which are great. And on the purse, is that why you always talk about the driver's side door and how big that cubby is?
Space. Yeah, it's very important for us.
Interesting.
Very important.
I want to talk a little bit about a shift in the industry on cars itself and your thoughts of it. So
Yeah.
I feel like when I was growing up, the traditional mom car, and I'm going to use air quotes as well, was a minivan. And minivans in the 90s, early 2000s, or even earlier than that, were basically as bare bones as potentially they could be. Now, if you look at minivans and the traditional mom cars of today, SUVs, they arguably have the most technology. They're getting redone by all of the brands faster. Minivans are some of the coolest cars out there. So what do you think about that shift, and now they're catering to the mom, I think?
Well, I don't find that in my experience, I don't think the minivans have more technology than any of the other cars. I think that they've started to include the technology just kind of across just their fleet in general. But I see that the same technology that's in the Odyssey is the same one that's in the Pilot. The technology has come so far though in some of these vehicles, and you're totally right. Like, there was nothing for so long, and then there was like a backup camera, and then there was like some these other safety features. But now I think they're to the point where a lot of brands are having to put all these safety features standard for a lot of different reasons. One, the government has some things to do with it, like no cars are allowed to be sold without a backup camera now since 2018, which is also just like, if you're going to have the safety features, if we're going to have these life-saving devices in them, don't charge a premium. Like, that's annoying. People's lives are at stake. Like, It's $5,000 for a backup camera. That's ridiculous. So I think that we're finally to a level where the technology and is standard in the cars, which I think is great. The cars are also a lot more expensive than they used to be. And like, it's not, I mean, of course, like there's inflation and things are going to get more expensive, but cars really have totally skyrocketed, but they have so much more in them now.
Yeah, that is interesting that you are paying a premium for even a Honda Pilot, which would be, you know, an entry level vehicle versus a Q7 or an Audi or a BMW. They're they're not so far apart as they used to be.
They're really not.
The prices get, you know, now you're looking at like an entry level car is in the 30s or $40,000. It's an expensive purchase for anyone.
And it's interesting the overlap that's we're starting to see in some cars, because I could get a souped up Hyundai Palisade and it's the same price as the base Audi. So it's just like, which I actually like, because to me, I'd rather buy the souped up Palisade, because I mean, sure, like I'd like the clout of driving an Audi, but like I also like would never sacrifice the features and the heated steering wheel and the pano moonroof to get a base Audi just to say I have an Audi that of course drives better, but I don't care.
But there's got to be a correlation between, like, if you look at the Toyota Highlander or a Lexus RX, there's a point in where the trim levels have the features, and they're a little bit, you're paying a little bit more for some features that are nominal in the Toyota, but if you actually move to a Lexus, which is not maybe $2,000 difference, all the features that you have to pay for in the Toyota are standard. So when you get to that point, would you suggest to move to a luxury brand, or is it more so like base model with the souped up?
I find that the luxury cars put out some very base models,
right,
to the point where it's like, it's not like, I mean, there are BMWs that don't have, I mean, there's some luxury cars that don't even have keyless entry.
Yeah.
Because that's the premium package. In the BMW, you have to get the premium package. I'm like, it's a BMW. You don't have keyless entry. So, but it's also just, they're just kind of falling into their, you know, it's just, they're putting a lot of emphasis on performance, which is, which for a lot of people is what is more important to them. But I also think they're in a way missing it, you know, a huge market. Because then to get a souped up X7, you're looking at $100,000 just to get the features that I have in a Kia Telluride.
It is kind of crazy, and from a driving perspective, I guess you're looking at a little bit of, I don't know, I've never driven either of those cars. Are they about like the same from a daily driver standpoint? You're getting the same kind of features. It's just badging and branding.
Just depends. No, I definitely think the luxury cars drive better. I think it also just depends on how you're driving the car. Like if you're just zipping around town, like you can get a Kia.
Yeah.
If you do a lot of highway driving, if you just, it's just about what you like. I'm just not a performance driver. Like I don't even know how to drive a stick shift. I don't know what to, it's so, I want to feel zippy enough to like get past an 18-wheeler on the highway, and then like I'm good. I don't know.
It's like the features of the why do they have EcoBoost and all those cars? Just to get past the truck. You're not gonna, you don't need a boosted F-150. Like you're towing something, there's not much, but it is the fact just to get around an 18-wheeler for safety. And so you started in 2020, and you've been doing this for a little less than a year, and you've had significant growth. So there's a couple of things, like why would someone, at this point you already had one kid, you're pregnant with a second kid, what's the intention of putting yourself on the internet? Because there's a little bit of vulnerability once you start to put your whole life, right? If you look at your Instagram feed, it's you're bringing your family along with this ride. What was the like goal behind posting yourself onto the internet and joining kind of the influencer celebrity world?
Well, I put my family above everything else, and I am doing this for while I'm really enjoying the ride and feel very blessed to love what I'm doing right now, I hope to make this profitable one day, like hopefully very profitable one day, so then I can give my kids just a better life, pay for their education. And that's kind of how I justify doing some of the things I do. I also am just so, like, one thing that I never realized about the car mom, I set out honestly, like, sell some cars, make some money, thought it would be fun. But what I've learned is well, I'm so passionate about cars, I'm also so passionate about the car buying process and selling cars. And so I give some tips and tricks along the way too on how to get a good deal, how to not get taken advantage of. And I've had so many women reach out to me who say that they never thought they would be able to do it without a man. And I have had women who lost their husbands to cancer, lost their fathers to COVID, and didn't know how they were going to be able to buy a car because they were too scared to go to a car dealership, and just like following my tips and me being able to break down the fourth wall, and they felt confident enough to go buy a car. So like that right there, like I have to keep doing it because I don't want anyone to feel like they can't go buy a car because they're scared. And I just think also, spreading the safety of getting a safe car for your family, keeping your children safe is another reason kind of why. So I try to take the car to a little bit deeper of a level personally for me, because I totally struggle with it. And like it takes away a ton of time for my kids. I work part-time at the dealerships, and I ended up sending my kids to the babysitters an extra day so I could just do the car mom one day a week. And that was a difficult decision to make, but I just feel very called to do what I'm doing.
It's got to be pretty cool to say, like, what is it, 7-8 months ago, you started an Instagram page, and now you're empowering women all around the country to do something that's going to better their lives and give them an easier and more motivation to go and get out there and get something that is going to, like,
It's really cool. I feel very privileged to be able to be the one to bring the message. I really do.
That's really cool. I mean, that's a totally different, direction of what I ever saw your content being able to do, but it really
Me
does
too.
that. Like I guess from my perspective, I've never had a fear of going to a car dealership. I always thought it was a fun thing. I loved going and just looking at cars, but I could see it definitely overwhelmingly nerve-wracking for my wife to go, or anyone to go, if they're a little bit nervous to be around that industry. That's cool. That's really cool.
Thank you.
So the change, we talked about this on our pre-call, the change from Instagram to YouTube was a little different, right? You joined a different community, a different group of people, a very, very dominated industry, right? It's pretty heavy on, I don't know how saturated it is on Instagram, but there is a lot of reviewing of cars, and there's a lot of big reviewers of cars on YouTube. So you join this community and you posted 16 videos so far, 6,000 subscribers. What was that entry into YouTube like?
Well, to be honest, I thought so. The process to get monetized was very interesting to me. So you needed 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 hours of watch time. I thought we'd get there in no time. It took way longer than I thought. I thought that I would, by the time I started YouTube, I probably had 30, maybe 40,000 followers. I thought I would get all of them to go to YouTube. And I'm not mad at my followers. Like, because I get that, like, I would follow someone on Instagram way before I'd subscribe to their YouTube channel. And like my husband would subscribe to a YouTube channel way before he'd follow someone on Instagram. So I totally get that. Okay, maybe they're not the same market.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a lot of hesitation with going to YouTube because I know that my followers really enjoyed being able to sit there, watch my stories while they're like nursing their baby or like waiting in the pickup line. So I knew that that was a little bit of a risk, but I was like, oh, I'm not going to make any money doing it on Instagram. Like, and I want to bring better content. And I was kind of getting to the point where I was a little bit frustrated with the edits I was doing because I just felt like I couldn't bring the quality I was trying to deliver at that point. I get this beautiful car. I'm trying to make it like look good, like with my phone on. I was like, I just need to step it up. So yeah, I went on YouTube, and and then I also realized like it wasn't my followers on YouTube, strictly on YouTube. And my Instagram was such a safe place. And like people talk about the internet's kind of a harsh place. And I was like, what are they talking about? Everyone's so nice to me. I always have messages saying how much I've helped them. Like, it's fine. And then YouTube.
Yeah, welcome.
It was just different. It was not my following. they were still watching. Like, I get it, they just weren't commenting. And I was used to posting an Instagram video and getting like 150 comments about how cute I was. The next thing you know, it's like not getting that. So that was fun.
Especially with, we see a lot of the inverse of what you have on your channel, right? So you have a significant amount of Instagram followers and you're growing on the YouTube side. We typically see the opposite, where they've focused on YouTube the whole time and they have an Instagram that promotes. The one thing that we've noticed is, especially from a comment standpoint, once you break your number of subscribers, you tend to get out of your safety net of people who have said they want to subscribe to you, they like your content, they like this, and that's when negative comments come into the play. Now, when you're growing in the 6,000, 10,000, 30,000, 50,000 realm, you're out of your bubble a lot.
Yeah.
So can you walk us through a little bit of the negative, how you deal with the negative comments and this kind of, I mean, a lot of your videos have more views. I would say the average, if we look at it from an average standpoint, the average video you have has close to 2 times the subscribers that you have. So it's almost about 12,000 views.
Yeah.
So you're almost every one of your videos is outside of that bubble.
Right. Yeah. So the comments, again, I don't care. I have a lot of confidence in what I'm doing. I just found it very interesting. And I posted a Lexus GX 570 tour, LX 570 tour. Can't get that wrong. And like, hats off to Lexus for brand loyalty, because I didn't care for the car at all. I called it a $96,000 time capsule because I felt like it was. I felt like it had very little functionality from a mom's perspective. And I just got a bunch of comments about people disagreeing with me. And I've had my followers disagree with me. I mean, I said some pretty negative, not negative, I said some very honest things about the Dodge Durango. A ton of my followers drive a Dodge Durango. I said some pretty negative things about the Toyota Highlander. A ton of my followers drive Toyota Highlander. And they were always able to be like, oh, wow, I had a different perspective. Like, here's how I'm using it. And like, I'm a 2 under 2 mom. I use my car very differently than someone who has an 8 and a 7-year-old do. Like, I understand that. So I'm like, oh, so interesting. Like, yay, different perspectives. But so I'm totally fine if you disagree with me. I like to be opinionated. I don't want to just give a very formative review. I have fun sharing my opinion on how I feel about the car. But then I would get something like, they would disagree with me, and then they would say it was because I was a woman, or because I was a mother, or because I was an amateur car reviewer. And I was like, you don't got to bring that into it. Like, that has nothing to do with it. And like, and then people would be like, this car's not for moms. And I'm like, no, now I know that. But like, the point of my channel is that I review cars for moms, because the LX 570 is a 7-passenger vehicle. So like, who's sitting in the 3rd row? Children. So it is for moms. So that's why I reviewed it. So it's just interesting. People told me to stick to minivans. Someone told me they said they feel bad for my husband because I complain too much, which I don't. So that's just been interesting. Don't really care. Honestly, I'm not really reading the YouTube comments, which maybe I should. And then I'm also just surprised people will comment like, Norman like reviews, didn't like this one. You talked way too fast. Can you also do this car? And I'm like, well, can you do it? Or like, why don't you? Do you want to go out in the 30-degree weather and do it?
It's an interesting response. Like, I didn't like you talk too fast, but wait, I kind of liked you enough to ask you to do this car.
Yeah. Or like, can you do a side-by-side comparison of the Palisade Telluride and Alice? It's like, okay, you want me to get 3 cars in a parking lot. You want me to put car seats in 3 different cars and film it for a video. Like, can you do it? Just sometimes the requests that I get on the YouTube, it's just like, so, and that just almost irks me more than like a negative comment, because I'm like, do you have any idea how much work I just put into this? And like, you want me to, or they'll be like, can you do this trim level instead? It's like, no, I'm not gonna make a separate video for the trim level that you want to see, which maybe that's a little harsh.
Well,
but
I think you do a good job though on the trim levels. At the end of your videos, you go on and build the car. So you talk a lot about that, which is something I haven't seen from any other car
I
review.
know. I think I'm the only one
Yeah,
for now.
it's but that answers that does two things. It tells you that the people aren't watching the full videos because
Yeah.
they only have time. I only have 4 minutes. I can't.
Yeah.
You have plenty of time. Um, they don't have enough time to watch the video, but they can leave a weird comment like that, right? Um, but yeah, so that you at least talk about all the different options and trim levels, which is awesome. I love that. Um, I don't know where I was going. I'm sorry. That one was yeah. So that has 18,000 views in a little less than a month. 175 comments though. So you're getting like a lot of response within it. And do you have a rule for yourself for answering or responding to comments or you just read them?
Honestly, I don't even read them.
That's
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I read them. I'm so inundated with messages on my Instagram, and I always post my tour picture on my Instagram. So I'll be like, just drop the Cadillac Escalade tour. Come back here and tell me your comments. So like my people, we're talking about it on my Instagram. So I'm
okay.
kind of, which, you know, I don't know. I'm trying now to, yeah, I'm kind of struggling with like how to use my platforms differently. Um, and I would also kind of like to diversify my Instagram feed a little bit with like some more of like my motherhood or like maybe even like a little bit of fashion or like home or cooking. Cause like I'm the car mom, I do cars and I do mom.
Hmm.
So I'd like to diversify my Instagram feed a little bit more, but trying to keep the YouTube very professional and kind of have my Instagram as like a behind the scenes. So that's been a little bit of a challenge too, just figuring out like what goes where.
Yeah. So when we're talking about that exact thing on YouTube, I guess in general, like how do you choose the content that you're going to post and how do you choose the vehicles and then for the growth of like diversification of the channels, right? You're choosing the cars on this side. Then how do you choose like, okay, I'm going to post a picture of, an outfit or my kid threw up all over their car seat. I'm going to show how easy it is to clean. I don't know
Yeah.
what goes with it. How do you determine what content's going to be posted where and the path for I get yeah what content goes where.
Yeah, well, so my sister would like me to post everything on YouTube, especially now that we're monetized, just because she's like, Kelly, if you're gonna do an Alta haul, will you just sit in front of your camera and do it? And I'm like, no, I just don't want to. Like, I like doing it on Instagram. Um, so just really trying to keep the anything. I want you to be able to go to my YouTube page and like not have to know who I am on Instagram.
Hmm.
But I think my followers like to see some car related content because they're not just following me because I'm a mom. So I do like a lot of used car tours on my Instagram stories and like some car buying tips and like some industry news on my stories. And I keep tours the tours um, strictly on the YouTube page.
And so when we're talking tours, how do you choose what vehicle do you plan out? Like, are you like a month plan? I'm going to do this week I'm going to do this car, next week I'm going to do this car, next week I'm going to do this, or is it kind of
I do batch content, so like I try to film like recently I filmed like 4 tours in one day, which I also realized was too much. Uh, Really, I just kind of do the tours when I get the car. So I mean, we have some new car dealerships, so I have really good availability on some cars, but like I have poor availability on other cars. So if we get like a new trade, it's also difficult. Like, how am I going to reach out to a Lexus dealership and be like, "Hey, can I tour your car?" Like when I know I'm not going to like it, and being in the car dealership family, like I don't want to call in a favor for my dad to be like, "Hey, can you call your friend down the street and see if I can go crap on their GMC Acadia?" Like that wouldn't be very nice.
that
So
might
I
burn a
try to
bridge for
wait
your dad?
I try to wait for some to come in as tours. Like I knew I wasn't gonna like the Toyota Highlander. So we had a 2020 Toyota Highlander get traded in. It was the same body style as the 2021. I'm like, perfect. I'll do this.
That's interesting. And so when you get to a certain point, do you feel like you would be more comfortable with, calling dealerships and saying, "Hey, I'm the car mom. I'd love to come and review a car here," or would you put at your videos like inviting people to tell you that they have this car and you can review it?
I've actually just had a pretty big call with GM the other day, and now I'm on their media fleet. So I actually just they gave me their Escalade for the weekend. I just had another GM car get dropped off today at my house. So
Wow.
that's kind of making me feel like a baller and like a real car reviewer. So now that I'm in the media fleet world, that will be very helpful.
Okay, so that is a question I have here. So when you get into a media fleet, first off, what does that exactly mean? Because I feel like every car reviewer and every person that I've watched about reviewing cars, they talk about the media fleet. So what is that? What does that exactly mean?
Bizarre. Basically, they're just like, hey, can we drop it? We're gonna drop off a Cadillac Escalade. Here it is for the week. And like it's just as nonchalant as it sounds. Like, just give me the keys. Like I had some guy drive all the way out to my house. I live 30 minutes outside of St. Louis in a small town. I like tried to say no. I was like, it's a sedan Cadillac, so it's like what am I gonna do with it? I mean, I'll review it because people want me to do sedans, but I was like, they're like, well, can we do it on Monday? And I'm like, oh, Monday's a bad day. My daughter has a doctor's appointment. I've got some meetings. So like, we'll wait around. I was like, well, I'm not going to be in St. Louis that day. They're like, we'll come to you. We really want you to have it. And I'm like,
Oh my
okay.
goodness.
So it's just some nice guy just dropped it off and
Took a
they
new
filled it,
brand.
they filled it up with gas and they're like, here you go. So it's pretty cool.
That is so that's got to be pretty. That right there says two things. You're really making a stamp in the industry, and you've created a name for yourself, as well as it it gives you an opportunity to get over the hump that you just said that you're having
Yeah.
problems with. You if once you get into the media fleets, you now have access unprecedented to do any of these vehicles that you want. And so yeah, you said something else there. You're kind of you've reviewed a lot of SUVs, but moms don't just drive SUVs. So where does the channel go from here? Are you going to grow yourself into, sports cars as well, sedans, SUVs, vans? What other vehicles will you be adding to your reviewing list?
Yeah. I mean, I want to do every make and model, truly. Like, and I want me and my husband are going to do like a truck series together. I want to do sedans. I want to do like even good like teen driver cars because I have a lot of people who are becoming teen drivers for the first time. So what does that kind of car look like? Sports cars like lower on my priority list, but sure, why not? I mean, really, I'd like to do. I'm able to put out like a tour a week right now, which I would wish I could be at like 2, but I'm just not there at the moment. So it's a little bit of a slow process, but I think once I have, cars change body styles every like 5 to 7 years. So like once like I just did the Kia Telluride tour last week. Like I don't need to do a Telluride tour until the new one comes out. So I'm kind of hoping like once I have kind of a library, it will be a little bit better.
I also like that you're bringing in different perspectives because I didn't even think about not only a mom from I see it because of my perspective right now, having a small child, of like mom not being my mother, but being my wife and being the mom and the dad. But you brought in like teenager, right? First car. What's a great first car? You're looking at a totally different perspective of like, is it super safe? Is it going to be reliable so that my son or daughter is going to be able to get from A to B? There's a whole different set of things that you want to cover in that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, really. I mean, and I also think I'm kind of, because I get a lot of people who are like, I'm not even a mom, but I like to watch tours because I kind of feel like I'm like the average person's car reviewer. I just kind of want to like be your friend and we're at a car lot having a coffee and we're just talking about the car. Like that type of reviewing, I think has really resonated with people because I'm not over researched. I'm not spitting facts and specs and MPGs at you. I'm just like, yeah, it's cute.
Yeah. No, and you talk a lot of
not to like downplay what I'm doing because I work really hard at it, but I that was already out there. So I thought it'd be a little different.
You have to differentiate yourself. That's the whole nature of YouTube because you're not going to get anywhere with on any social media if you're doing the same thing as someone else who has a million subscribers or followers. Mm-hmm. Because if they post a video about the Kia Telluride, they're going to get more views than your video about the Kia Telluride, no matter what you do.
Right.
But I do like the fact that because I I like cars, but I don't really understand the differences between engines and things like that. And
Same.
yeah, so you say it's got this, it works, right? You know, if you get this one, it's a little punchier, and you put it in a very simple perspective, and that makes total sense. And that's I think you're going to be your biggest benefit to growing outside of just moms. Someone who just wants to get not necessarily every tech spec of how many bolts are
Yeah.
on the wheel. Like you don't need all that kind of stuff. I just want to know, is it going to get me somewhere? Oh wow, that does fit a lot of stuff. I don't know how many onesies it can go, but it looks like that's pretty deep and big.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. So, um, how did you so with that, like with the onesies, how did you start to use diapers and children's toys as a reference for like the size of objects within cars?
Honestly, I just like didn't. Well, I was like, I used to say, I was like, it's this many cubic feet. Then I realized, like, I don't know what a foot is, because, like, if it's like cubic feet is also like air in the car. Like,
Yeah.
that's what they count as the measurements in cars are so, they're just, they don't make any sense. So that's why I was like, well, I need to get some items that people have. So, like, I have a size 5 diaper. I use the same stroller, and it's funny, people will be like, okay, perfect. If the Outback Vista stroller can fit, I know my son's hockey bag can fit. And I'm like, yeah, that's what it. So it's just finding everyday things. I mean, like, the other reviewers are just going to tell you, read the specs off, and I just don't find that help. And also, that information's out there. The
Yeah.
specs are already out there. But, like, who's putting a car seat? Who's putting a rear facing car seat in it? Only me.
I also like that you do both types of car seats, right? You have the infant seat and the rear facing car seat as well.
Yeah.
Because it is, I feel like a lot of parents are going to have that similar situation, two under two, and you're going to have both those car seats, so you can see how the evolution of the car will change with you as you grow as a family, which is a cool perspective, because I feel we talked about cars being so expensive. You're keeping cars longer now too, because you're putting so much more money down and into it, that you need to know, I'm not going to get, if I'm buying the Kia Telluride, it's going to last me till my kid's 7. Something like that. So with the change in your YouTube and kind of keeping YouTube professional and changing the car mom to a wider reach of just not only cars, but also mom and Kelly's life, and bringing in the life of everything else that you have, because you also have 2 small humans, Hattie Faye and George, and 2 dogs, Tommy and Jimmy.
Jimmy died.
Oh no, I'm so
It's
sorry.
okay.
Oh, I gotta edit that out.
No, it's okay.
Oh my God, I'm so
Jimmy got
sorry.
hit. Jimmy got hit by a car 3 weeks before George was born. It was horrible. So then my husband surprised me with Tommy 3 weeks after George was born, which is like not what you should bring a woman who lost her dog,
Yeah.
has a newborn, like a new puppy. It was not good. But now we love Tommy.
Yeah, so I'm so sorry about that. It's terrible.
Okay.
Okay. So, oh man,
It's fine. Happens.
it does. That's terrible. But so I was gonna say, how do you manage the lifestyle with all of these things going on? You have dogs, kids, being a wife, and having date nights with your husband, but also growing this, working full part-time. Like, you got a lot of plates spinning at once. How hard is that to manage?
I like to be busy. Like, as you can see from my resume, I just like to do a lot of things. And my husband's the same way. We live a very active lifestyle. We prioritize a lot of time with our kids. But, like, we're just always moving. I don't know. Like, we're not like sit around on a Saturday kind of people. Like, we're always out and we're always doing stuff. So I don't want to say it's easy to manage. I definitely have hard days. But I'm really happy with where we're at. And I have a good support system. I have a fabulous babysitter who loves my kids like they're her own. Both of our parents live in town. So it's a big support system. And then just, we definitely have days like I have an Instagram. In Instagram, you can tell it how long you've been on Instagram for the day. So, like, I have a 2-hour reminder where it's like, if I ever hit my 2-hour reminder, like I'm just done on Instagram for the day, because like I just don't need to be on Instagram for more than 2 hours a day. And some days I do hit it because I'm uploading a tour, responding to messages, reading DMs, replying to comments. But once that 2 hours is up, I'm done.
That's a good rule to have in place. It seems like you have an amazing like work ethic and drive to get to be the best in your industry, to be the best at everything you've done. Whether it's, joining the President's Club in college or being the number one sales person or woman at your car dealership. Where did that drive come from?
I am driven by, I guess, it's a good question. I am driven by success. Like I'm my happiest when I feel successful. And I don't know, I just kind of chase that a little bit. Like I like to feel like I have a purpose. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I like to feel successful. I like to feel like I've accomplished things. So really that's kind of what has kept me going. And I had big shoes to fill. Like my dad, like while my grandpa started the business, like my dad really, like my grandpa had a used car lot, like not downplaying what he did, but like my dad's the one who got the franchises, got the brands, and him and his brother really like built what they have. So those were some big shoes to fill. And my parents always wanted us to have a passion. Like they didn't care what it was. Like they were so happy that I was into horses because it was just like passionate about something. And it's funny because my sister was so into videography and like editing videos, and she's the one who edits my videos. So like that's like what just she did. And then my brother was very into lacrosse, and my other sister was very into rowing. My youngest sister, she was just kind of into whatever. But we were just always raised to have passions for things.
It seems like you're following in another set of footsteps from what you just said. It's all about the family and the business inside of what you're doing. And immediately within your YouTube career, you've already brought on your sister into the business. So is that kind of the number two thing in your life? Your drive and family are kind of what are behind you?
Yeah. And I really I always tell my sister, and like she's so behind the scenes, and I'm like, Liz, you're going to be the car mom, because she's a little bit younger than me, doesn't have any kids, isn't married. But I'm like, but she's got a boyfriend. Hopefully that works out. I really like him. So I'm like, then you're going to be the car mom, because I'm going to have older kids, and then you're going to have younger kids. And then I've got 2 other sisters too. So I'm like, and then Sydney and Grayson are going to be having kids, and Craig's wife's going to be having kids. Like the car mom's not going anywhere. And like, I want to be able to share it with my sisters. And like, it really is, when I say it's a family affair, I mean like, so 2 of my sisters live in Dallas. So like my mom and my other sister babysit. My brother sometimes comes and films. My other sister picks out my outfit. My other sister built my intro. Elizabeth edits the videos. Like everyone has their hand in it. And we really are all working on it together.
I really like what you said right there too, about, we talked about the perspective of, when you have teenagers, maybe one of your sisters will have the 2 infants or the 2 car seats. So you can consistently get different perspectives of the car and how it all works. That'll be a really cool future of the channel itself. And I'm glad that's going to happen. I'm excited because this is the beginning of, I think, the next big car reviewing channel on YouTube.
I like to think so too.
Yeah, we're not just saying that because you're on our podcast. So I truly believe that. And my wife is who introduced me to your channel, because she's looking to buy a car. And the first time she bought her car, it was all about aesthetics and perspective of like just wanting, like, she wanted a white car with black rims and leather seats. That's all she wanted. And it had to be boxy and square. And now it's like, okay, will this fit all of the crap that I need to carry with me? And oh wow, she found this, this lady's reviewing for kids, and it just worked and clicked with her. And then I started watching your videos. I'm like, oh, there's a really good perspective here. So I can't wait to see. Drew, do you have any other questions before we ask our 2 final questions?
No, man, you killed it. You covered all my questions for sure.
Sorry, we were just on a roll there.
I loved it.
Cars, Michael, you're very talkative. You asked something really good, and you asked some good fact-finding questions. We love a fact-finding question.
This is what Drew and I love to do. I'm not as good as on Instagram. I'm trying to figure out how to use it. My wife also is involved in our podcast. She is the one who runs all of our Instagram because clearly I have no idea what I'm doing. It's taking me this long to
Instagram's the best.
I know nothing about it either.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Drew.
let me offer you some help, Mike.
Yeah, Drew, can you pull your flip phone out?
Yeah.
You have a flip phone, Drew?
He does.
I have a brick phone at the moment.
That is not your cell phone. You don't have an iPhone?
That is indeed my cell phone. I have an iPhone 5. That was my one and only iPhone I had.
Do you see my face right now? I can't believe that's your
I actually just got a new phone. This one I am not going to be able to use after 2021 because they're doing away with 3G. So I got a new flip phone, and it should come in the mail this week.
Okay. I would love to unpack this with you another day. Like, I just like why? Just why?
You and I both. I told Drew one day he's going to have to have us an iPhone. He goes, "Nah, I'm okay. It doesn't matter."
Okay.
Yeah. That's a whole nother. We can do a whole nother podcast later on.
I could talk for days about that. Yeah.
You have
I love it. I think it's amazing.
You always have a computer. Do you have any social media?
Other than this YouTube channel now.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
Again,
Yeah.
I guess I can't friend you, so I guess we'll never know.
I had a Facebook in I think I had a Facebook in 2014.
Okay, well I'll just write you a letter and have it on the
Yeah, I would love that actually.
Yeah.
I do still exchange letters with people.
Of
It's
course.
very pleasant. It's lovely.
He does, for sure. For sure.
You do not know me. When I was buying a new car this past summer, and my one recommendation, or not my one recommendation, my one requirement was that it had a manual transmission. And that narrowed it down to 10
So
miles.
that was obvious. I knew that. Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
And you bought don't tell me. Let me see if I can what year is it?
It's a 2020.
Oh, okay. You bought a Subaru or a Honda or a Volkswagen?
Oh, whoa.
I considered Subarus. I had a Volkswagen in the past, but I got a Jeep.
Yeah.
No, I didn't see that. I don't see that for you. Are you sure?
I think so. I think so.
I saw you in a Volkswagen Golf manual.
Oh yeah, those are pretty cool. The R's are amazing.
Yeah,
they don't make a lot of manual cars anymore.
I see that for you. I don't even know how to drive one manual car.
It's a lot of fun.
There's always a time to learn. That would be a great series. That would be amazing.
Video.
That would be a good.
Thanks for the help of the content creation. No, I've tried to learn a couple times, but I've never been successful. Can't get past first year. Freaks me out.
All right, I did figure out how to use this. So I'm gonna apologize to anyone in advance if I butcher your name because it's almost inevitable every time I do this, but this one seems pretty easy. Marissa Kellogg _ asked, if you owned a car, which car would you own if you were to buy a car?
Yeah, I get that question all the time. And I just like to preface by that this could change at any time.
Yep.
But I do really like, I'm in a Volkswagen Atlas. So if you don't know, I don't own a car. I drive a demo car. I guess I've said that.
Yep.
I'm in a Volkswagen Atlas right now. I really like how it works for me and my family. I like the functionality of it. I think the Atlas has good technology. It's very clean interior, easy to clean, easy to keep clean. They're affordable. I'd probably buy an Atlas, but I also really like the Hyundai Palisade. And maybe I'd do a van. I don't know. Probably not a van. I'd probably do a Volkswagen Atlas. But I also don't know what my budget would be. I don't know.
Modern vans are pretty sweet, especially the what are they called? Like Chevy makes them, the big touring vans that have the TVs and stuff built in the back and everything too.
Oh, conversion vans.
Yes, yeah, thank you. That's the word I'm looking for.
My mom used to have one of those with us growing up. Those are pretty cool.
Amazing.
Yeah, who knows? I don't know. Probably a Volkswagen Atlas.
We did watch your Atlas tour, and then we went to the dealership 30 hours later, drove an Atlas, and it is pretty sweet.
But you bought a Subaru Ascent.
Did I? No. When we
You're
drove a
going to?
4Runner. No, not. I don't know what we're gonna buy yet.
Oh, you still haven't bought?
No, we haven't. We've only
Okay.
gone to one dealership, and
You should download my car shopping workbook. I'll
we
send it to
will.
you.
We
I'll send
will.
it to you.
They the weirdest thing is Pennsylvania car dealerships are only open on Saturdays on the weekend. No car dealership is open on Sunday.
Yeah, no, it's illegal in some states. It's illegal in Missouri to sell cars on Sundays.
It is the weirdest thing. I'm like,
What?
and they all close at 4 o'clock on Saturday, 5 o'clock on Saturday. It's like,
Jeez, Michael, why can't we have some time off? We're working really hard.
I know, but this is the only time I have to go.
They should be open till 9 on some weeknights.
Yeah, I guess.
But you have a monster at home, so yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it's this whole, you know the deal with the little ones. So I thought this was an interesting one from Mirvin5252. How do you and your husband communicate with and divvy up household tasks with 2 kids and 2 jobs? I think that, how do you kind of balance everything?
Yeah. My husband's actually very helpful around the house. So he's very good with the toddler. He really loves, obviously he loves our daughter too, but like him and my son are 2 peas. So when he gets home from work, if he's not working late, he takes George, and he's also very particular about the dishes. It's like he does the dishes. So I cook and I do the rest of the cleaning. I do all the laundry, but he loves to like put his headphones in and just go through some dishes. So really we also just both have a lot of grace for each other, and just in our house. Like it's just like our house is not perfect. Okay. We try to get to the point like every night where at least our robot vacuum can come, even if that's just like throwing crap on a couch. like that's the only standard we have, really.
I think you kind of have to live like that when you have kids, because there's just going to be stuff everywhere, especially once they're walking, right?
Yeah, it sucks. Wonderful.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Now he's running. It's like crazy. My life is just constantly walking on, like, with my laptop, making sure he doesn't destroy himself. So then S Rose 10, we'll do 2 more questions. Is it better to buy a used car from an actual dealership, or to buy it, she said, any place that sells cars? So like, I guess like a used car lot.
Yeah, like I think she means like, should you buy a used Kia at a Kia dealership?
Yeah.
So I am a really big fan of a certified pre-owned car, which is a used car that is been certified or reconditioned to a certain level that other used cars aren't. So like we'll take BMW, for example. They were the first ones to come out with the CPO program. So if you turn in your BMW lease, BMW says, okay, dealership, if this BMW can meet this standards, if you replace this amount of equipment on it, you can CPO it, which gives it a longer warranty. They extend the warranty on it. I think that's one of the best ways to buy used cars, because there's a lot of cars that would come into us that they were great used cars, low mileage, so excited to see it. But they skip their oil change by 2,000 miles, can't get certified. So, and then also the manufacturer's requirements for a certified car are different than what the state says we have to do to sell a car. So like your tire tread is to be at a certain percentage. It's a lot higher for the certified cars than it is for the non-certified cars. So I think it doesn't, if you're not looking at a certified car, I don't think it matters where you buy the car from. Like if you're looking at a very, like an older Kia, it's fine. But I would definitely try to look at some certified cars, because it's a great way to get a good used car.
Yeah, there's a lot of safety factors I would imagine that go into it too. And you're getting it, that it's being checked by someone who is certified by that brand and has gone to school and things like that.
For sure.
Not Jeff, who has looked at 100,000 old cars and he's just like, yep, it's good to go.
Yeah.
So final question is from Katerina Saba. What are some exciting new things we can expect to see out of your YouTube?
What I started doing, so I did my first vlog this past week, which is very exciting. And I like took you around a car dealership. So I actually met with with a customer there, and she like wanted to test drive some cars. So like I just really like vlogged the whole process of, not the whole process, because like I did respect like some of her privacy, like with dealing like with budget and stuff like that. But just like kind of took you along like what it's like to buy a car from me. And I really liked it. It was very easy to do. And I'm very passionate about like breaking down that fourth wall into like, and just humanizing car salespeople and just dealerships in general. Um, so I'm very passionate about that. So I'm going to continue vlogging. And I also plan to do a lot more. Well, I'm going to keep up with the tours. I also want to do a lot more car buying tips and tricks because I like selling cars.
Yeah. It's the passion that you fell in love with, right?
Yeah.
Drew, you want to ask the final question?
Yeah, what are some of the automotive YouTube channels that you like to watch, or outside of automotive YouTube channels, what are some YouTube channels that you really like to watch?
I love Doug DeMuro. He's like the car reviewer of all car reviewers. I think
Oh
his
yeah.
videos, I really resonate with his videos because he's very much himself, and he's very goofy kind of.
Hmm.
And I felt a lot better because after my LX 570 tour got so much heat, I went to his LX 570 tour, and like he also didn't like it. And everyone's like, was saying that he was stupid for not liking it. So like, I felt very validated that that was good. I try though not to watch too many reviewers because I find that sometimes I will like it's the only thing I can think about, and like then I'll like sometimes not that like I'm trying to like say their stuff, but like that's what I heard, so like that's what
Yeah.
sticks with me. So I struggle with that sometimes. Like when I was Doug always says quirks and features. I literally said the word cork in one of my tours, and I was like, I have to cut that. But like, why
Hmm.
did I say that? So I watch them after the fact.
That's a good point.
So I watch Doug a lot, and he's really the only one I like to watch. Alex on Autos is pretty good. He's very thorough. I don't like some of the other ones. This one guy just like talks about how it's like you can fit how many Twinkies he can fit in the center console. It's like the weirdest. You guys know who I'm talking about?
I don't.
I don't know. I don't.
Oh,
I have
it's
not
super
seen that
annoying.
YouTuber.
He's like, you can fit 7 Twinkies in it. I'm like, okay. But
That's
also, if you're gonna say that, bring 7 Twinkies. Like
I
I bring the prop. You're
yeah,
just guessing.
yeah. You gotta
I
bring
was
like a couple cases of Twinkies
I don't know if you if you ever watched Tyler Hoovie's channel, but I was so impressed by he bought these two really cheap Lamborghinis, and each one had like a movie scene, a famous movie scene attached with it, and he reenacted those movie scenes to introduce each episode. Like one was from Dumb and Dumber and one was from Wolf of Wall
Oh,
Street.
that's a good idea.
It
Yeah.
was awesome. Yeah.
What
So
else what else do you watch on YouTube?
I just like I don't know, like just like some embarrassing mom stuff. Like I like just like some like I like the chat wins. They've got like they've got triplets. Like that was a fun journey to watch. And I oh, you know who I love to watch with my husband? Bobby Guy Films. He's a duck hunter, but like he's such a good vlogger. And I've actually learned a lot from his vlogging. And it's funny because when I first started on YouTube, my first YouTube tour was horrible. Horrible. I was 5 weeks postpartum. I thought I could be like Doug and film it by myself, like with a tripod.
Mhm.
Horrible. And I was feeling so down. And so my husband, we were watching Bobby Guy because we watch him all the time. And my husband's like, let's go watch his first video, Kelly, and make you feel better. So we went back to his first video, and it was worse than mine was. So he was like, you can't compare your beginning to someone else's middle. So
Yep.
that was I like Bobby Guy Films.
Well, that
Just like
your
so
hus-
random.
Yeah,
your husband's
that's
100%
great though.
right though.
That's
Like,
great.
and you came into YouTube with a serious base from
Yeah.
reviewing on Instagram. That's something that most people don't have because he's 100% right. We always go back and watch the first videos of the people that we interview, and sometimes it's like 10 years before the time that we're talking to them now, and there's a significant learning curve.
Yeah. Really, they're all everyone's getting better. So yeah, I'm excited, and I want my tours to get better and better camera angles, and I'm trying to figure out like mics and cameras and tripods, and yeah, I have a long way to go, but it's it's day one or one day, so I'm on like whatever day I'm on.
Yeah. And it's all about exactly what you said early on, which is why'd you start on Instagram? You just got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Just got to do it. Got to do it every day. And it's not gonna be an easy journey, but it's gonna be the journey you want. And
100%.
we have no doubts that the drive behind the car mom, pun intended, we'll get you there. We didn't even make the best pun joke of the entire time that you gave us.
I know, and that's disappointing to say the least.
It really is.
Missed opportunities.
I know. Drew, I was really hoping you'd hop in with the horsepower joke, but
yeah.
Well, hey, go ahead.
I was trying to think about how to say it. You
Yeah.
could say that it's different kind of horse. I don't know. Still using that.
Something like that.
Just a different kind of horsepower. I don't know. We'll work on it.
I'll bring it in episode 2 when we do the follow-up episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that's where you learn all about a single horsepower, but I couldn't.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, maybe it's not as good as we think. Who
knows?
No,
it is. It's there.
Okay,
it's there.
Well, that's good.
You nailed it in the pre-call, but we lost that opportunity. We dropped the ball here, and I apologize for that. So thank you everyone who made it this far, and we had an awesome time talking to you. I can't wait to follow up with you in less than a year and see how this growth has gone, because I'm excited to watch the journey. I'm really excited to get a perspective on the car, and I'll message you with what car we buy and let you know, because we have a lot of ideas. We just got to get to dealerships.
Maybe you guys could do a celebrity tour for me. I can't be the only one creating content. It's exhausting.
well, I could have my wife do a car friend video for you if you'd like.
I would love a car friend video, please.
Yeah, Lucas should review it.
Yeah. Bah. You can fit your bottle there. That's great. Well, all of the information that we talked about in the beginning will be in the bio. YouTube, if you're watching it on YouTube,
okay,
there'll be an iCard here and at the beginning sending you to her channel. And then make sure you check out her car interactive workbook, the car shopping workbook. It really will help you when buying a car. So we appreciate it. Instagram. Do you have Twitter?
No.
Okay. Yeah, we don't really understand. This guy definitely doesn't understand Twitter.
I just got, you know what I just got? What's it called? Clubhouse? Room? Is it called Clubhouse?
We're not invited. I heard you have to be invited.
Oh, I can get you invites. I've got like 7.
Well, sure. But it has to go to Drew.
Not for Drew.
Is it a treehouse clubhouse?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the Mickey Mouse. It's the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, everything will be in the bio down below in the show notes or in the bio. Make sure you check it out. If you're in the market for a car, this is the best review you're going to find on the internet. So
thank you, both of you. Appreciate it.
We appreciate you, and thank you so much for coming on the show.
No problem. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.